Well, that escalated quickly. Eubank Smith press conference in Manchester absolutely caught fire. So we're going to get into all of the personal dirty gossip, right, that was discussed. We're going to talk a little bit about why things like homophobia and referencing people's families and all that kind of things are an inherent part of boxing. We're going to get deep into some evolutionary psychology with that, which I'm a big fan of. We're also going to talk about the purse structure as well, because I think the incentive that is in place for this fight to sell and do pay-per-view numbers is a big part of why these types of bust-ups and controversies occur at press conferences. So we're going to dig a little bit into the numbers there as well. Matter of fact, let's start there. So Eubank's on $1 million USD, right? Which is actually double what he was on against Liam Williams in his last fight on Sky. And Liam Smith is on 500K USD, which is still a big purse, right? US dollars that I'm referring to. So total outlay for the purse is a main event at 1.5 million, right? And the way that the pay-per-view upside is structured is that Eubank gets 60% of the pay-per-view profits, right? So usually the pay-per-view profits are shared between the broadcaster and the promotion equally. And so Team Eubank gets 60% and Liam Smith gets 40%. So if you work out the maths, right, against the projections, you know, Eubank's topping out at potentially another 2.5 million on top of his million guaranteed. So he's looking at a total purse of 3.5 million. So it's well within his incentive range to make it personal at a press conference, to cause that controversy. Yeah. People can say disrespect the sport and represent the sport in a bad light. All those kinds of things, man, they don't mean nothing when you're putting your life on the line and you're guaranteed one and there's another 2.5 on the table. You know, if you're getting paid £10 at your job, yeah, and if you hit sales targets, you're gonna make another 2.5 for every 10, yeah. Sorry, another 25 for every 10. You're gonna pull it out the bag. And so with Liam Smith, he's on a 500 guarantee and he stands to make another 1.4, I believe. So, you know, Liam Smith's knocking on the door for $2 million himself, well within his incentive range to do what he needs to do to sell the fight. So, you know, hopefully that's some good insight. Now let's get straight into it, right? Chris Eubank started the back and forth at a personal level by this narrative about Liam Smith sliding into his DMs. And sliding into someone's DMs has a lot of connotations. It's essentially referencing the phenomena on Instagram where people use it as a dating site, right? And so there's an inherent homophobic assertion within what he's accusing Liam Smith of. And Liam Smith kind of made the point that, listen, you tag me in a video. When you do that, it comes up in my DM. So I was just replying to that. And Chris Eubank carried on down that path. And at that point, Liam Smith hit him with, you know, listen, you keep on saying that I was sliding into your DMs. That's something that girls normally do. But to be honest, Chris, like no one in this room, and you got to keep in mind, Chris has been in boxing his whole life through his dad. And people that are in boxing in the background, they tend to be lifers, right? So it's kind of like a closed community. Liam Smith made the point, no one in this room has ever seen you with a girl. You know, you're always on Instagram tagging yourself, you know, with Neymar and, you know, inside a limo. Is there something you want to tell us? So I feel like, especially at the end, Sky were kind of criticizing Liam Smith for the homophobic narrative, but really Chris Eubank started that. And then it got real nasty when Liam Smith made reference to his hairline, and then at that point, Chris said, "Oh, you know, you're trying to call me gay. Now you're talking about my beard and my appearance." Like, and so again, Chris is a little bit smarter with it. He's a little bit more cute and, you know, doing it in a sly way where he can't be accused of anything. But there was these constant like homophobic jabs against each other, you know, because at the end of the day, Liam was just criticizing his appearance because Chris said Liam looked 50, right? And so then Eubank hit back with, now you're commenting on my appearance, now you're talking about you think that I'm gay. Well, if we want to make it personal, let's do that. I've been hearing you cheating on your missus. Yeah, if you want to talk about I haven't got like a missus and kids, well, rather be gay than be a cheat. You know what I mean? Which was a low blow. And even though Liam Smith tried to keep a smile on his face, listen, that's a blow, man. That anytime you're on stage, yeah, in the biggest, I think certainly in the UK, Canelo was a big fight in the States, but in the UK, if you're on the biggest stage you've ever been on and you're getting called out for being a cheat, listen, Liam Smith has to go back to his missus after all this. Yeah. So that's a fake smile. He knows he's got some questions he needs to answer, and that he wasn't in a comfortable position right there. So what do you guys think? Do you think it's all above board and it's just boxing promotion and no harm, no foul? Or do you think it lowers the tone of the sport? It's not really socially acceptable in today's day and age. The way I look at it, the way I look at most things is I put it down to evolution, right? So the reason why boxing is such a primal attraction, it doesn't matter how much money you pay to be at the football, to be at the golf, to be at the tennis. Like it could literally be Tiger Woods, on the 18th hole, about to make a putt, to win one more Masters to put him out of reach in historical terms. Like Roger Federer could make a comeback and be at the final Wimbledon against Novak Djokovic to, like get to 21 Grand Slams or whatever it is, right? If a fight breaks out, you're going to turn around and look at the fight. You are not, like, your attention is going to look at the fight to see, can somebody slip a jab and land a left hook, right? Or can somebody land a windmill right hand? You know what I mean? Like we are genetically hardwired to want to watch people fight. And one of the reasons too for that is because it's inherently connected to our survival as a species, and not just a human species, but any species. So something that I remember, I'm getting super hyper intellectual with this one, or at least, pseudo hyper intellectual. I remember going on safari in Africa, Tanzania, I believe, or Tanzania as the locals pronounce it. So something that I really found fascinating is that there was these species of wolves or some wolf pack, right? And what was really interesting that I learned about their social hierarchy is that you get a pack of wolves that hang together, and only one wolf doesn't hang with the wolf pack, right? And that is the alpha wolf that has to basically fight his way to that status, and then he goes into the mating pack with the females, right? So being able to fight and achieve that status, right, is kind of, from an evolutionary point of view, inherently connected to your sexual status, right, as an alpha male that wins the right to mate. And so if you're an evolutionist like me and you don't believe, in like Adam and Eve nonsense, right, then like we have evolved from earlier hominids, right, as Homo sapiens, and we've crossbreeded with Neanderthals and other forms of the hominid family, and we have in our evolution hardwired that your ability to fight is connected to your ability to mate with females, right? And if you never get there, or if you're just always in the wolf pack with the dudes, and that's one of the things that I asked, the guy that was running the safari, is that like what happens to the dudes that never make it to the alpha male status, right? And he's like, well, yeah, most of them don't, you know what I mean? And they just spend their whole life with the male wolf pack and die and never get to pass on their genetics. The other thing that was super interesting is that when you make the alpha male status and then you go into the breeding pack, you end up losing all your energy because you're spending all your time fucking, right? And so then when you have to come back and defend your crown, so it's kind of like a champion defending his belt, and you get beaten, like, and then you go back into the wolf pack, they actually look after you. So the wolf pack will, get you food and, provide for you, because by that point you're shagged out, yeah, you're injured because you got, you got fists up on the way down, and now the wolf pack look after you. But there's going to be people in that wolf pack that actually just never made it to that level. And so calling somebody a homo is kind of saying that is from an evolutionary point of view is kind of like saying that you're a shit fighter. Like the two just go hand in hand. And it's true for any species that, you know, evolve through natural selection, which is all of them. And so that's kind of like, you know, my bullshit theory on why fighters are always so tempted to go down that line of inquiry. You know, we saw it most recently with Kell Brook and Amir Khan. And the other thing that I thought was super interesting was the whole bringing up the reference to your family as well. So that line that Eubank landed about Liam Smith and, you know, cheating on your missus, like psychologically, that's a lot on your mind if there's any truth in that going into the fight. And I thought that Liam Smith kind of made a mistake, even though he felt like he was doing well early, like kind of playing Eubank's game. Because this is you, let's be honest, this is Eubank's game. Liam Smith likes to keep it respectful, and he likes to point to Eubank as someone that talks shit and tries to play the mind games and it's not working. But sometimes you need to just let people do their thing. You don't need to get involved if it's not your thing, you know. And I wonder whether that could have some analogies in the fight, right? So is Smith going to be able to stick to his game plan in the ring, or is he going to get caught into, you know, Eubank's games? So, you know, Eubank being the more versatile fighter, as I say, I'm still giving him the edge, but I'm not ruling out a Smith victory at all because, for, you know, I feel like Liam Smith, while he doesn't have as much on the upside, he doesn't have as much baggage on the downside as well. We know what Liam Smith is going to bring to the ring, you know, and there isn't as many question marks. So with Eubank, you don't know. Has he learned the lessons from that Williams fight where he started off at blistering pace and then blew a gasket and, you know, didn't seem like he had the full 12 rounds in him? Has he learned from that? Has he not? Is he caught between two styles? Is he not? We don't have those questions with Liam Smith. And so for that reason, you can never rule him out. You can never rule out a late stoppage from Liam Smith. You can never rule out Eubank getting confused and caught between two styles. But overall, I think, you know, a little bit too much and just a naturally bigger man used to taking bigger shots. We're giving Eubank the edge, but probably do another video on this closer to the time. Peace.